Hi and welcome everyone to the mix room. This is Dami. There are times that you have some tools that you've forgotten about, and sometimes you have kind of gold hidden in your toolbox, but you don't know you have gold in there. And this is the case for today. I bought this plugin, the Drum Strip by SSL, and then I've had this in my toolbox for so long, but I don't think I actually even ever used this plugin. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to show you exactly the magic of Drumstrip. All right, so what I've done is I have this plugin inserted on the individual drum tracks that I have. This is the kick, this is the snare top, snare bottom, it's on there. This is snare rim, there's really nothing on there, so I didn't add it on there. Same for the hi-hats, all the toms, and then the overheads right here, they're grouped. And you can see on the snare bottom mic, there's another plugin, the trim plugin here. And basically what I'm doing here is inversing the phase polarity. So it's kind of just a utility tool right there. So what I'll do is I'm gonna solo the drums, and then I'm gonna play it with the plugin and without. So let's just pull up one of them here. This is engaged. Gonna bypass. Whew. Now, this, I'm not using samples at all. I don't know what they did here. Not only does it do maybe what it was created to do, but then it sounds fantastic. Man, this is actually really mind-blowing. Here, I just quickly dialed this in, and that's another thing too. It wasn't like I spent so much time on there, because it's easy to use. There's not really much you can do on there. Honestly, I can end the video right there, but I wouldn't. So let's actually look at 1 second. All right, so this is it on the kick. There's only one kick drum mic here. So this is before. The kick has a punch in there. It has some body to it as well. But let me engage what I did here. I made it louder. Let's actually loop this small section here. What in the world? Okay, so let's go over all of the different parameters here. So the first one is the gate. So gate is on. I'm gonna turn it off. Okay, so as you can hear, it's not doing much at all. Looking down here, this is a way for you to rearrange the order in which you want each processor, right, to follow. So by default, it's usually from the gate. Actually, let's come here. So by default, it goes from the gate to the transient shaper to the high and then low. So once you see it on here, once I engage it, it's going to light. You can light up so you can see it clearly. But what I did is I moved the transient shaper, because that's just the way I think, to the end. So it's transient shaper is basically on the end. So I have it going from gates to the high frequency to low frequency, and then the transient shaper. So let's here move on to what the high is doing on here. So I'm using this to get this EQ to get the bite. Awesome. I'm boosting 8K. This is why I think SSL is just in its class by its own self. Because the 5K, the 10K on SSL, plugin hardware, it's just something musical, just sweet, right? It doesn't sound bad quickly. So this is helping me get the bite. I don't care if it's 8K, just want to dial it into where it makes sense, not necessarily frequency wise. That's the way to approach SSL. Let me turn that off. Yeah, and I'm also cranking the drive here, and I'm doing that because it's on the high frequency, and that's fine. I'm cranking it, and then the amount is at 46. So this is 0. Is that 100? Sounds fine at 100. Now moving on. So we have the gate going on. Let's bypass the plugin. So you can tell that we've lost some volume. Now let's bring in the low frequency enhancer here. So you can see I'm getting a lot of more low end pushing that in. So it's set to 83. I'm driving it a little bit less than I'm doing with the top end frequency, and I'm also almost using the same amount. So let me bypass that. Bypass the entire plugin. Ooh. The crazy thing is that, that 400-ish side seems like there's just something that's already doing to it. Because when you bypass the plugin, you can hear the 200, 300 side. But once the low frequencies engage, it seems like it disappears. So there's probably some interesting stuff going on with the EQ curve in here. Right. It's kind of changed the tone in a way too. Wow. No compressor, nothing, just EQ. That's crazy. So now this is why I use the transient shaper. That's just where I think I like to use it at the end, not at the beginning. I'm sure SSL have a reason why they put it there. So let's engage the transient shaper and see what that's doing. You can play around with this speed. I seem to favor it on the left side than the right side. And mind you, this is probably maybe second main time, third main time using this plugin. So I've not really used it on any song or any mix. This is just still very new for me, and I'm really impressed, guys. Okay, listen carefully. So the punch, the attack, the tightness is coming from the transient shaper, right? That is crazy. The compressor side, I didn't use it on here. Initially, I didn't like it, but I used it on other stuff. So let's bypass this plugin. It's fine, a little bit more volume. That's on the low end side, pushing the meter. But do you know how many plugins you would need to actually get the sound? So this is mind blowing, really, in my opinion. I'm glad I found this. This is gonna help me, especially when you mix like gospel where you need tight kick drum, and this is probably that too. So I need to be less skeptical, right? Because Drumstrip, you're like, now let me use any EQ I want, but no, this is it, guys. I think I can even stop this video now. You already get the gist. Let's go to the snare drum. Let's just see what I was able to do on here. Bypass. I mean, just listen. Like, I'm not doing, I'm not cutting actually any EQ. You can hear the honkiness, that nasty. I think that's usually around like 250, 300 on that snare drum. And it's gone. It's gone. It's clear. That doesn't make sense. All right, let's bypass the gate first. Trying to get the bleed out. That's sufficient, right? I'm not losing the body of the snare drum. Yeah, the smack is still there in a way. I'm not a gate expert really, but I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, and then low frequency, I'm boosting one about 200. That's where the body is coming from. Bring it in. Nice. The high frequency. Ooh. This is what is doing the cleanup, actually. Yes. Wow. I'm boosting 6K. So definitely, maybe this is doing something like the Poltec does. I'm boosting 6K, but then it's definitely cutting things below 6K. That's what I think. Or is that the 6K is just what my ears are hearing now loud, and it's disregarding the the other frequency, but what I can hear is just clarity and the nastiness is gone. That's impressive. And I'm using it at 50% amount. Bypass the transient shaper. Right, it's flat, no attack. Punchy with the attack here, using the transient shaper. And then on these, actually, I'm using the listen mic compressor. Don't know why it's called listen mic, but I'm blending it in at 35%. Let me go 100. Right, that's what it's doing. That doesn't sound too good. But the right amount of blend, you get a very nice, punchy, full sound. Now, let me bypass this. So, kick and snare together. Ooh. Bypass both. Oh, this doesn't make any sense. Oh, where have this plugin been, man? This is amazing, guys. This is amazing. Snare bottom here. Sweet. I use the trim just for phase. Okay, let's bypass the entire thing. So one thing I will mention is the sound you hear here is drastic, and this wasn't done in solo. I was playing the two snare drum together, because when it's bypassed, you hear what makes this snare bottom sound, what makes it, the character it has, you hear it, right? It's full, but when it's engaged, it's thin. I'm using just the top end really in there. That's what I'm doing, and that's because I'm playing it with the main snare drum. So let's hear both of them together actually. Now bypass it now. No definition. It's like it's flamming, right? If that word makes sense. Right. So that's how you want to think about, mixing. So that's why I did that. So in solo, it sounds bad. It sounds good, but we've lost some major thing that the snare bottom had. So that is that. And then I'm gonna play this when we're done. Now let's quickly look at the hi-hat. Don't think I'm doing much on that one because honestly I'm doing nothing. I'm not using the low frequency, not using the gate, only boosting some high. Let's hear that. Oh no, I'm not actually doing anything there. The transient shaper, yeah. Okay. I don't know, a little bit of something. I moved it all the way to the right. Or maybe not doing much really, because even the gain is down. So let's move to the toms. I think here's where you probably notice another major difference too, or change how this is useful. Okay, let me loop this. So bypass. So in this section that I've selected here, there are only two snare tom hits right there. This and this. So what? Yeah. So gates, you guys can take maybe a screenshot of this gate setting. I'm not a pro on there. I tweaked this until I got it right, and then I was able to save one preset that is dummy kick tight. So that's just really my starting point when I need to gate anything. But you will need to adjust the open, because if I push it all the way now, you won't hear anything. Wait, is it on? Off. There you go. And this is how you begin to open it back up again. So here boosting 156. Here I'm boosting about 6K and using a lot of the attack transient shaper here on the toms. So night and day, guys. Night and day. That's the second one right here. Very close, very similar stuff. And then the overheads. Let's see what I'm doing here. Obviously, you don't want to use the gates on the overheads. I tried it because I don't like to say never, but then there was no need. Except the song calls for it. There's always a need sometimes. Maybe you don't need to hear the cymbals, and then you want to use the overhead too. You only want to hear the snare sounds. That might be very, very possible. So, let's just bypass it. Actually, I'm losing volume. There you go. All right, so nothing much here. I don't think nothing much at all. So that is that on here. I'm using the compressor side, but I'm only blending it almost 7%. It's almost not needed. So let's do that again where I bypass the entire thing and then we'll listen to it in the mix. No samples, guys. Wow, thank you, SSL, man. I'm blown away. Guys, this is the secret. No bunch of EQ, removing 400. It's like it's doing it automatically. It knows what to do. Oh, no. I'm so blown away. I just want to start mixing drums. Right. You know what? Like they say, what if I put this on the bass? It didn't say bass strip. Maybe they have one for bass, but why not try it on bass? Let me maybe just reset it, factory reset. Let's go. Low end. Drive. Let's try this. What did you guys hear that? That is. Let's try the compressor side. There's something about this compressor I don't like. Okay, Transient. Hey, drum bass strip. It works. Just the EQ and the EQ section. I think you can get you know a pretty good tone on the bass. That is that on the drum strip. I'm glad I have this. I'm really glad, and it's in my template now, and I can't wait to use it. This is it's mind blowing, really. Honestly, mind boggling as well. Like I said, the gate is pretty good. The gate section here is pretty good. Different parameters to tweak it to taste, and the sound, sonically wise, it's also pretty nice. This is definitely a great plugin. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful time recording, and God bless you. Bye.